Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to this night-ending bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this night-ending bonus upload, shall we? This is a true story. It may seem like a work of fiction, strange and illogical in its structure and content, but I assure you these events actually happened. Like every good horror story, this one too has a monster. In this case, it involves something known colloquially as the Dogman. It is an ambiguous creature that is anthropomorphic in shape, but gives the initial impression of being somewhat canine. In short, the Dogman is an enigma. This is not a new cryptid in the paranormal universe. Indeed, the notion of the Dogman goes back to at least the Pleistocene, if not further. It serves as the quintessential boogeyman, something immediately recognizable yet grotesquely brutish in shape and behavior. The Dogman is, in essence, the stuff of nightmares. The Dogman straddles two worlds, blurring the line between man and beast. Mankind has always been preoccupied with the notion of transformation, of moving from one state of being to another. It is part of human nature to marvel at the natural world and to fear it. There is a healthy sense of reverence hardwired into humanity's psyche toward the forest and those things that go bump in the night. And that concept exists even today. This is why researchers such as myself set out into the woods and the remaining wild places and attempt to track down conundrums, such as those known as the Dogman. We want to get to the truth that lies in the shadows. I consider myself a cryptozoologist. I am educated in various concentrations and experienced with the workings of the natural world, and in the ordered chaos within the human imagination. Now, this doesn't mean that every time I venture into the forest I find evidence of a monster. Indeed, I am blessed with such a healthy share of skepticism that I often go out not actually believing in the quarry. However, I am also knowledgeable enough to know that something is going on out there, and has been for a very long time. In the ancient tales told by indigenous tongue, and in the modern eyewitness accounts, there are frighteningly similar reports of something like a Dogman. And this is why I still head out into the vast reaches of the pine forests and the swampy bottom lands. But because I am an academic researcher trained in the disciplines of anthropology and archaeology, most of my investigations are carried out in a library. As I sifted through decade-old reports of hair-covered dog-like creatures prowling about on two legs, and as I reread eyewitness testimony of areas where such creatures had been seen, I pinpointed an area that seemed to be prime location for an elusive creature such as the Dogman to hunt without much human interference. I ventured out around 9 p.m. on a cold fall night. The night was hideously dark. My flashlight scanned the leaves that were orange and red but still lingered on the trees. I was well off the beaten path, and any nuisance of light pollution was obstructed by October's cloud cover. But this location was the rumored haunt of the Dogman, so I zippered my coat against the chill and set down a path that twisted under a hill on which an abandoned cemetery glowered forlornly through the rustling tree limbs. The Dogman is a cryptid often associated with the abode of the dead, with a lineage stretching back to Anubis and its ubiquitous presence in Egyptian funeral rites. However, this creature is also frequently seen, even to this day, prowling around Indian burial mounds and on grave sites in Native American reservations. From the point of folklore, this area was the ideal site for this creature to be found. But our Dogman has always been a creature of liminal regions and the ephemeral thresholds between this world and the world of the other. And out here on this sullen trail that carved its way through the autumn forest, I felt as if I were hopelessly adrift in this space between worlds. As I swept the woods with my night vision camera, I was struck with the incredible feeling that I was not alone out here. I saw no animals through my eyepiece, no squirrel rustled through the leaves, no rabbit stirred in the stillness. No, it was something else. Light anomalies seemed to follow me along the darkened path, nearly indiscernible in the fall night, but I could plainly see the pinpoints of unmistakably living light flitter through my lens. Light, soft glows that darted and danced in a twisted undergrowth that lined the path, occasionally skipping out of the tanges and illuminating the trail. Even after my eyes adjusted to the night, I could see these illuminations without electronic aid, but I ventured onward, following the lights that moved forward, leading me further afield. Then I came to a long abandoned railroad bridge that spanned a river that flowed like a black ribbon in the valley. The little lights that had accompanied me now left as the woods halted at the bridge. In the center of the bridge, I felt utterly exposed. If I were being hunted, I was now vulnerable. There was nowhere to run, and in the stark nakedness of the bridge, there was certainly no place to hide. The rather soothing electronic glow of the camcorder which I carried suddenly seemed to have its energy inexplicably drained. The battery light suddenly flickered on. Above me, the sky that enclosed the world in its inky embrace seemed to spark with a static electricity, reminiscent of the electricity produced when you pull blankets from the bed. Something was happening to the world around me. Suddenly, a visceral urge shuddered my body. I knew instinctually that I had to get out of where I was. I must get back into the confining woods and make my way to my car, parked nearly 1.5 miles away. At this point, it was not choice. It was an imperative drive to stay alive. I turned. Behind me, the trail disappeared as it was swallowed by the gaping void of the woods. But immediately, as I turned, my eyes widened in trepidation. There, where the trail plunged into the interminable abyss of the forest, a light of living intensity sparked to life, shimmering and sputtering like a contaminated Roman candle suspended in the air. I immediately called out, knowing rationally that there must be a person behind it. My mind worked with the information before me, struggling to process it intellectually. It must be a person. What else could it be? I glanced into my night vision camera eyepiece. There was nothing there. The light was gone as quickly as it came. And there was no person on the trail. Unnervingly, my battery icon in my camera was flashing an urgent SOS, begging to be recharged. It was as if the light that manifested before me used nearly all of the remaining battery in my camera to power itself to life. Empirically, that made no logical sense. However, cold and shivering from uneasiness, nothing else made better sense. And that gnawing instinct that sent a shiver of compulsion through me to run for my life was much more forceful now. I knew I must get out of these woods. I quickly walked to the bridge down towards where the light had ignited. Soon I made it to the tree line. Shrouded by the overhanging branches that closed in on either side, I was alone, utterly. The night was empty. Then an electricity shivered my body that instilled fear into me. I felt as if I was being watched. I also had the startling realization that I was now being hunted. My quick walk became a trot until I found myself fumbling into the darkness at such a pace that my heartbeat pounded in my ears. My face stung as branches slapped my cheeks, my feet tripping over roots and through brambles as I veered through the trail in absolute darkness. Soon I realized that I would inevitably stumble and fall. Every primal instinct in my civilized brain screamed, ensuring me that if I fell, I would be pounced upon. Something in that night was stalking me. Then something inexplicable happened. Even telling you this now, it seems rather difficult to believe, but I assure you of the veracity of the event. Off to my left, out in the woods and higher up, as if a person called out from the cemetery on the hill, I heard my name called. "Ron," it said. The voice was androgynous and undefinable. It was a quick gasp, yet stark in immediacy. And it was an urgent call. Instantly, and hard to my left, something stirred in the twisted brush and in the littered leaves that covered the forest floor. On the other side of the trail, something was moving closer, stalking. I heard its breath, the night air wet in its mouth. As the stick snapped under its weight, I realized, with unmitigated terror, that I could see what it was. It was as if a synapses in my brain fired to produce an image of the creature that I knew was part of my collective unconsciousness. It was primal and bestial. It was the same menace that had pursued the human species since we walked upright out of the African savanna. It was a dogman. My brain structured the creature, drawing it out of memories locked within my DNA. It was huge and hulking. I could see each step that it took was on paws that were more like hands, and its snout was lined with rows of needle-like teeth. Its nose smelled the air, pulling my scent out of the cacophony of odors that filled the woods. And those eyes, they were the eyes of a nightmare, because they were the cause of nightmares since our genesis. The red eyes narrowed in acuity, seeking me out. I knew it was there, and it knew as well. The little voice that called my name alerted me not only to the distraction of the path that led to my car, but also shook me to attention. The dogman may be a part of our evolutionary journey, a clever, self-aware creature that still stalks the civilized world, preying upon us, but we have an intelligence that lifted us out of the jungle. I backpedaled, looking through the viewfinder of my night vision camera toward where the creature stalked in the darkness. The battery, which had been dangerously low, now was reading that it still had over half its power. I quickly spun the camera around, finding the trail in the blackness of the night. Then I slowly followed the trail, keeping the night vision trained on where the dogman lurked. I could hear it snarling, its breath wet and anxious, but it never left its hiding place. It remained concealed in the thicket. Even when I had finally made it to my car and locked my doors before turning the key, I knew the creature was still crouched over in the forest, its eyes red, scanning the path, waiting for prey. In reviewing the video evidence, I could see the little points of light were captured. So too was the light that ignited so brilliantly when I was out on that bridge. I realized that it was the light that drew me back into the woods. Why? Did the light have an intelligence? Did it know that there was a creature hunting in the woods? Other reports associated with Dogman have occasionally reported strange lights. Is the Dogman interdimensional? And are the lights the visual evidence of portals opening? I'm not sure. But the lights did coincide with the appearance of the creature. And what about that voice that called my name? It did not appear on the film. That was my own little experience that can't be shared. It was personal and poignant. The sounds of the creature prowling in the brush can be heard, but without that voice, I am convinced I would have been pounced on from behind, blindsided by this predator. I feel that I would have been another missing persons case without this voice, but this time I made it out of the woods. I had encountered the Dogman, and I survived. Well, there you have it, folks. This night-ending bonus upload. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that keeps the channel growing and going. And honestly, what gives people a chance and a place to share their experiences and theories judgment-free. Thank you. Please, everyone, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and they are dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless.